I'm Secretary of State Jesse White, and in the state of Illinois, my office is responsible for regulating brokers and investment advisors. Each year, we handle many cases of investment fraud. Don't let the con take your hard-earned money. Always remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I must be in the right place.
Yep, nothing whets the appetite like listening to some kid trying to tell me what I should do with my money. Name's Martin, and this is my wife, Agnes.
Hi, I'm Robert. I know what you mean. Since my wife passed a few years back, I do just about anything for a free meal.
Oh, we better be seated. He's coming.
This is the part where we pay for the meal.
Hello. Thanks for coming. Let's get straight to the point. We all know our institutions are failing us. The things that we once thought were stable are falling apart. Foreclosures, banks failing, bailouts. I'm here to tell you that the decisions you make today are the most important of your financial life. Time is short. And if you don't make the right decision quick, not only will you have no money for a quality retirement, you won't have enough money simply to live. But luckily, you have me.
What do you think, Robert? Are you going to have him come by for one of those personal consultations?
Well, I was kind of skeptical at first, but a lot of it makes sense. I had a friend who made a bunch of money on these type of investments, and I definitely want to hear him out. After all, I kind of feel like I owe him since he bought us all this food, and anyway, it was a pretty good meal, so he must be doing something right. Oh, there's the Parkers. I want to say hi to him. See you guys.
What do you think?
7, 8, 9.
9? You are losing your touch. You wouldn't have had half of that without me picking up your spares, just like taking candy from a baby.
They still let people your age eat candy?
Oh, really? All I know is I seem to be getting a lot more candy than you lately. Once again, age and experience trumps youth and enthusiasm.
We'll see, Dad. We'll see. After taking a look at your returns, it's obvious that your mutual funds just aren't going to be enough. I know some of these alternatives we've been discussing are exactly what you need.
Boy, Steve, I just don't know.
You guys can't afford to be wishy-washy. Time is of the essence. Here, I'll go get the papers. This will only take a second, and we'll get you signed up. You're gonna thank me for this.
Equity-induced annuities? Exchange-traded funds? Foreign currency options? Private placements? Structured products? Derivatives?
Boy, they are complicated, but you know what Steve said. Some of these people are buying these and they're making a lot of money. Maybe we're just behind the times?
In the world of investment and securities, there are good investments and bad.
Remember, our promissory note guarantees a 25% return. And if you have any questions, just take a look at our website.
You know, Jack made a lot of money doing this. I'll let you bring this private investment opportunity to all your regular clients. They'll love you for it. And the best part, a 30% commission for you.
I know what you mean. To be honest, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds are freaking me out right now too. But I might have an alternative investment I can hook you up with. That's where all the smart people are putting their money.
But you only have limited time to take advantage of this. No, if you transfer the money by wire, it'll be here in time. You're still in good shape. You seen the news lately, Dwight? We got a surefire way to take advantage of this housing bubble, an all-cash loan program. We just need a little more and we'll add it to your promissory note. You can't lose. Besides, you got that first payment, right?
We gotta nail these guys. They make me sick. Stealing people's retirement, college funds.
Yeah, I worked a case once where some investors got duped into taking out home equity loans. They lost everything, including their houses. You know, we just got to get the word out to people that they need to spend more time thinking about where they put their money than how they want their eggs in the morning. You know, just because a guy says it's a promissory note doesn't mean it's real. I promised not to eat the last donut this morning.
These guys were here all the time. They were like friends. Steve even tossed the ball around with my boy. Then one day we couldn't get in touch with them. Truth is, I was worried about them.
Well, that's common practice for con artists, sir. They're friendly, they're charming, they blend in.
I still can't believe they were con artists. I mean, they were so successful, so professional. They showed us all sorts of credentials. Their website was amazing.
Credentials. Did he tell you he was a CHSG? Yeah, he's been using that for a while. CHSG stands for Certified High School Graduate.
Con artists will often exaggerate or even make up credentials. You really need to contact the Illinois Secretary of State Securities Department to make sure a person offering investments is licensed.
And anybody can set up a website and say anything they want. Now, did they tell you how these investments were supposed to work?
Well, that's the thing. They did work. They worked well.
We had a promissory note from the company with a guaranteed interest rate, and we were getting paid right on time.
Promissory notes are the perpetual top fraud. But in reality, they're usually not something sold to the general public. Real promissory notes are mostly something reserved for fairly sophisticated buyers.
If somebody comes knocking on your door selling promissory notes, it's a scam. Promissory notes are set up with a maturity date several years in the future. By the time the note matures, the scammer has usually spent the funds and fled town. Or on other occasions, he bounces checks or even goes back to the original investor and asks him to invest in his oil well or gas well or some other investment that needs just a little more funding to get off the ground.
And the way they were paying you is called a Ponzi scheme. Now keep in mind, not all promissory note frauds are Ponzi schemes because sometimes there isn't any payout to any investors. They are outright misappropriation directly into the pockets of the scammers. But sometimes a Ponzi scheme can begin with a promissory note, but it can also be a document like an investment contract, an investment agreement, a private placement, just about anything. In a Ponzi scheme, a scammer basically gets a bunch of investors and then uses some of each subsequent investor's money to pay the promised percentages to previous investors. But instead of actually investing the principal, they use it to fund their own lavish lifestyles, which is why they look so successful.
Why is it called a Ponzi scheme?
Charles Ponzi was an Italian immigrant who in the 1920s pocketed millions from other Italian immigrants. They trusted him, and since the early investors were being paid by the later investors, they spread the word. Now, they really didn't understand the program, but they considered Ponzi one of them. Now, of course, everything collapsed when Ponzi couldn't get any new investors. You know, it's unfortunate, but many people invest in things they don't understand simply because their friends or neighbors are investing. It's human nature to trust someone who's similar to us in one way or another.
Now, did these men tell you what you were actually investing in?
Well, it's a proprietary thing, a secret kind of way they figured out on how to make money.
Using cash loans, something about the real estate bubble. It was in the news all the time. And they told us that the investment was exempt from Illinois SOS Securities, as a way to avoid government bureaucracy.
If someone tells you an investment is exempt, take that as a warning sign and call the Secretary of State Securities Department to find out about this so-called exemption.
Bottom line, if you don't understand the investment, don't put your money in it.
Keep in mind, the information that you've given us today will be invaluable in the case against these guys. They'll get what's coming to them in court.
Where did you meet the defendant?
I first met Robert at church. He seemed so spiritual, so kind, very convincing.
What exactly did he convince you of, ma'am?
I'm not exactly sure. I tried reading the investment contract, but it just didn't make any sense. So I relied on Robert. He gave me his word that it was a safe investment that paid monthly dividends, and it did. I gave him $160,000. And for the first few months, the checks came, just like he said. But then they stopped. And then Robert stopped returning my calls. It was all that I had. It was my whole retirement.
What did the defendants tell you your $50,000 was going to be used for?
Investments in high-end medical technology. He gave me the documents and told me that they were normal and that the risks listed were standard and that expensive attorneys, no offense, and accountants made him put all that stuff in there. But I got concerned when I didn't get any annual reports from the company. So I drove to the location where the company was supposed to be headquartered, and all I found was an empty building.
They asked you to wire them your investment money? They wanted you to pay for the security in cash? They asked you to send a check for $2,000 to a post office box?
They told us a bunch of complicated money talk about their firm and rehabbing foreclosed properties. We put our initial money in, and we relied on their expertise to make a profit on our investment. And I feel so foolish.
Don't. The only thing you should be feeling right now, Mr. Carver, is brave. You and these other people showed an awful lot of courage by reporting these men to the securities department. It's not easy. It can be embarrassing. But your kind of bravery ensures that no one else gets hurt. No one else has to be a victim of these men's crimes. What these men specialize in is exploiting the deepest part of us. They know that people all just want to grow their money so they can pay for college, so they'll have a nice nest egg when they retire, and maybe so they can pass along something to their children or their grandchildren. Scammers understand that investors are often too embarrassed to ask questions, or they're too nice to say no to someone they think they have something in common with. Many frauds are perpetrated by fellow churchgoers, or military veterans, sports coaches, and even longtime friends and neighbors. All of us want to get the most out of things we have worked for, get the best for our family, security in these uncertain times, and even the freedom to eventually step aside from our jobs and spend more time with the ones we love. These men darken the very things that bring us all together. These men know that we live in a world where news events are broadcast 24/7. They feed on our fear and even in our desire to help others. We see a news report of an oil spill, and they offer us investments for technology, make-believe technology to clean up our oceans. They see a mortgage crisis, and they offer us loan schemes pretending to help people keep their homes. Our institutions are unstable, and they offer us alternatives for stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and oftentimes these very alternatives are unregulated, unknown, or just plain unreal. These men manufacture fake friendships, which was bad enough in a world of face-to-face relationships. But now with the internet and social media, their lies spread like a disease. They exploit our desire for community and our need for friendship. People like these, they have schemes for everyone. They fool celebrities, powerful businessmen, doctors, professors, even lawyers. You know, many people don't know this, but lawyers are among the biggest targets for con men. I guess it's because many lawyers think they're too clever to be taken in. We know all the rules. Con men have schemes for anyone who has money to invest. Do you remember the famous con artist Bernie Madoff? Well, his investors were educated, sophisticated, many of them were even rich. But they didn't know what he was doing. But it's okay because he's a millionaire and they trusted him. And because many of them trusted him with their entire life savings, in the end, they lost everything. Everyone is a target for scammers, like all of the witnesses we saw here today. But tomorrow, it could be any one of you. So please, before you find these men guilty, place all of this in your memory. And before you place your trust in your family's hard-earned money in any type of security, promise me that before you invest, you will all investigate.
Be sure to investigate before you invest. Call the Illinois Secretary of State for free information on brokers and investment advisors. When it comes to investments, it pays to research your options and stay informed.